This is a Gear Network production. You a new podcaster need a show introduction or a commercial bumper? Or do you need a commercial for your business, brand, or podcast? Need help with producing your content? Let GRN Productions answer the call. For as little as $5, GRN can provide the services needed to make your podcast sound exceptional, regardless of what network you belong to. From voice work to checking and balancing your levels to eliminating dead air, we have you covered. Head on over to GearNetwork.com. That's GERE Network.com and click on the GRN Productions banner under the Support Our Friends box on the main page beneath the Amazon logo to take a look at some of the deals that we offer. Alternatively, you can email me at GearNetwork, GERE Network @gmail.com with what you need, and I'd be happy to reach out and discuss the plans that work best for you. Don't delay, stand out today with GRN Productions. You need quality, we need money. Let's be friends.
So, Fat Man.
It's the Hall of Famer Fat Man. We covered this last show.
Yeah, okay. You think you're so great. Well, who are we going to talk to today?
A person.
A person? Maybe that person is somebody special?
A very special person?
Well, we'll find out. And so much more on The Wrestling Show. Welcome, everyone. This is Sleazy.
This is the Fat Man.
And welcome, everyone, to another wonderful episode. Today, we've got a special guest. Xcite owner, Jonny Moose. How you doing?
Is that where I was supposed to start talking?
Yeah, this is the part where you start to talk.
I'm not very special, and I'm barely a person, so you guys are wrong across the board already.
God damn it!
Well, to be fair, we're known to be wrong on this show, because it seems like every time we put out news, literally the next day it gets debunked, so...
Makes sense.
That's how we roll. That's how we roll. So, what's going on? Why are you here?
You called me to be on the show. Yeah,
God damn it!
I thought that was self-explanatory. That's how it works. You just say, hey, I'm going to get a hold of you in 50 minutes. And I'm like, I got the kid. I better put him to bed. You better give me like a 15-minute warning. Make sure, because, it takes a while to get him down. He doesn't want to go down. So I got it. I got it to happen. So we're good there.
Cue 3-minute warning right about now. So, yeah, we wanted to talk to you about this huge news that came out of the last show. Impact Wrestling and Xcite Wrestling together.
It's amazing. It's I don't know. I got nothing. It's Thursday. It was Thursday. I work at the DMV. I had a sovereign citizen come in, start yelling at me, telling them that I am going against their rights as a human to force them to get a license when they should be at drive-free without the confines of a license that the corporation makes them get. That was kind of what my day was like. And as a member of said corporation that issues these licenses, I'm a real heel, to put it in wrestling terms. She was not a fan. There might be video of it. She started taking video of it, and I was having none of that. So, yeah, this is you're catching me on the tail end of this day. Of it. If you talked to me yesterday when we blew out the last of the front rows, I probably would have been more cheery. But no. Went back to work today and dealt with a bunch of jerks, and this is where I'm at.
Well, let's pump up the happiness a little bit then. Front row's already been sold out. This is almost 2 months away, and we've already sold out front row. You cannot buy any more. There won't be any more on sale. Second row is available, and we still have general admission seats.
Correct. Yeah. I put it in my personal post as opposed to the company post, but last year we announced we were going to be at Xcite Stadium for the first Xcite Wrestling experience at Xcite Stadium. To say that people were jazzed about that is an understatement. They're really, really excited about it. We put tickets on sale. We sold out a front row in about 9 days, I think it was, which is pretty quick. That was the quickest that we've done it. I mean, we sell tickets quick sometimes. Sometimes they go super slow. That was the quickest. We sold them for $30 a ticket, and they went quick. Fast forward a year, Xcite Wrestling Experience 2 sold so much slower. Didn't go as good. People worry about weather and stuff. It's just a mess. Fast forward another month, and we announced that we're doing this show with Impact. At 2.5 days, we had already sold 60 tickets, and these were VIP tickets, which means you get all the bells and whistles. You get a front row seat. You get to come in early before everybody gets here, which is pretty important for this show because I have a feeling it's going to be very confined in that little building. So getting in early really helps things out. And we have like a little party. No food and drinks or anything like that. We didn't want to. This is a pay-per-view taping, so we didn't want to, get too cutesy with what we were doing. But you get early. You get bonus matches from some of the Xcite guys that won't be featured on the main pay-per-view card. And you get a poster signed by everybody on the show, and also meet and greets with the stars of Impact. So it's a pretty good deal. It was $50, and we sold the same 60 we sold at the stadium in 9 days. In 2.5, it took another day and a half-ish to sell the last 10. So 4 days, it's a new record for selling out front row. We've already started. We put tickets on sale for second row. We said we weren't going to do it because, honestly, if you don't sell out front row, it makes no sense to put a second row on sale. We'll just put GA on sale. But we put second row on sale already. We've already started selling second row. So that's a plus. So things are looking good. I think we are going to have a all-time best-selling show that we've ever had, and it will be interesting to see if we can beat out the stadium show the first year, which was around 400, especially in this little room. That's the Legion. Anybody that's been in there, it's not huge. But I did the layout for the chairs and everything, and I think we should be fine. It's going to be something. So, yeah, things are going well on the ticket front.
Now, how did this all come together, if you don't mind me asking, or can you even say at this moment?
No, I don't have any problem. Listen, man, I'll tell you everything. What do you want to know about the business? I got it all. I don't care. I'll expose it all.
Nobody listens to this fucking show, so it's okay.
Well, even if they did, it wouldn't matter. Pretty much, this kind of thing's been on my radar. We've kind of made it known that we're kind of part of the United Wrestling Network, whatever that is at this point, with Dave Marquez out of California. It's like their version of trying to create a territory system of companies, across the country, working together while working separately,
so
all under the umbrella.
Sorry to interrupt you, but kind of like a new school NWA?
Sort of, kind of, yeah. Which would make sense because Dave Marquez was the head of the NWA for a long time there. Like when, Colt Cabana and Adam Pearce were having their thing. That was the Dave Marquez era of the NWA. And it's similar. Now, we've been part of that maybe another year or two. I don't really know what we've gotten out of it yet. I'm sure there's stuff to come. There's always stuff to come. but things are moving a little slower than I think even Dave would like for things to happen. But he's got iron in the fire all over the place. He just did a show in China. He's working out a tour of China at this point. So he's got a lot of stuff going on. Anyways, I kind of losing my train of thought there for a second. But we were doing the United Wrestling Network thing, and he did a couple shows with TNA. And more or less what TNA is doing is they're teaming up with independent wrestling companies to, facilitate shows for them. So instead of them taking on all the costs, going into a new market, hoping to draw in the new market, what they do is they'll come to a company like Xcite and say, hey, let's team up together. We'll do some kind of joint show. We'll bring in the TNA talent and things like that, and you handle the back end of the company stuff because it's your market. You know the market. You know how to advertise it properly. You already have the infrastructure to do it, and it's a combined effort. You split revenue and all that good stuff. So Dave had done that in California. They did, I think, like 2 or 3 successful shows out there, and I think they had more planned. So it was already on my radar. Now, that's not how it came into my lap. There's a guy named Keith Zimmer, local promoter type guy who works with other companies and is just really the ultimate shill. He'll sell your show like it's the greatest thing ever, whether it is or not. Super passionate guy about pro wrestling. Has been trying to work with Impact for a very long time. Had talks with them for years now, literally years. And just so happened they had a pay-per-view on the schedule, didn't have a place to run it. Keith was the right guy to talk to him at the right time. The problem with Keith, though, is, they didn't have, he doesn't have the, he doesn't have his own company. He works with other companies. But some of the companies he works with, they wouldn't be able to handle what TNA wants from a production end, because not only are they working your town, but depending on the situation, depending on the company, they may be using a lot of your production stuff, which some of the companies he works with, they wouldn't have that kind of infrastructure. I don't know if that's the right word, but I keep using it, so I'm going to go with it. To do that kind of show, especially a pay-per-view. Luckily, it's not live because that would make my head explode trying to figure out the logistics of something like that. But despite our differences, which there's numerous, he messaged me when he really didn't need to try to get me involved. And seeing how it was already on my radar, it just made sense for us to do it, even though I really wanted to just not do any shows for a while after this last show on the 29th. So we added it to the roster of shows, and here we are. I came into the discussions a little late, but I felt like the parent coming in and finalizing the deal and making sure everything logistically made sense. And, Keith did a lot of the legwork, so I didn't have to do a lot of that stuff. But then I came in and had to do the promotion end of it, dealing with money, dealing with tickets, dealing with production, dealing with how to make that building into something pretty. That's where I'm at this point. So that's kind of how it came together. It was one of those in the right time, right place. Let's make it happen kind of deal.
Right. And that's actually a really interesting story. And now most Impact one night only pay-per-views have a theme. Does this one going to have a theme, or is it just going to be like a one night only pay-per-view?
Oh, no, this has a theme. Well, no, it has a tagline. I guess it's not a theme. So it's not like one night only super tag tournament or something like that.
Yeah.
It's as far as I know, that's not what they're doing. They haven't relayed that message. But
2 weeks before. By the way.
Yeah, we're going to need 8 teams to fill out this tournament. Okay, sure. No, I know what the tagline is. It's pretty humorous to me. It's very fitting. I don't know if I'm supposed to expose it yet. I don't know what's going on. I should be in the loop on this stuff. I don't know if I am. But you want me just to tell you? Because, I really don't know.
If you want to, you can. That's up to you.
It is probably the most appropriately named show involving Xcite Wrestling with Keith Zimmer combined effort. I have an assumption of what they're going to be doing on the show based on the name, but I feel like it's just been named this because we're involved. It will be Impact Wrestling, and Xcite Wrestling presents one night only Night of the Dummies. So I think it's about as appropriately named show.
Night of the Dummies.
As we could have ever had for a pay-per-view involving Xcite Wrestling. So
this is phenomenal.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think we could have gotten a. It's funny when I tell people that, there's usually one of two reactions. Either one, they laugh because they get it, they think it's funny, like I do, because that's what I did. Because I read it when I got the email saying what the name of the show was. I started laughing because I thought it was funny. Other people get mad, like, "Oh, what are they doing? They're shitting on us. Why are they shitting?" I'm like, "They're not shitting on us, guys. Stop. Just stop."
It's not a shoot.
Yeah, Eli Drake is going to be featured on the show. That's his whole gimmick. He just signed a long-term deal with Impact, so they are, putting the machine behind him. It makes sense. So, from a business standpoint, even I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But you get different reactions when you hear the title of the show, so I think it's funny.
Now, do you guys know what we're taping it? Or we're, like, I'm a part of Xcite. You guys are taping it August 25th. Do you guys have an air date for it?
A week later.
Oh, a week later. Okay.
Yeah, a week later. It airs on the Global Wrestling Network and all the pay-per-view outlets from there. I don't know if the pay-per-views are just in the state. Well, I know he said worldwide, so it's going to be all over the place. It's going to be something.
It's definitely a thing.
It's a thing. It's weird because I had made a post before, right after the stadium show this year, which was soul-sucking, let me tell you. For being our WrestleMania, it really sucked the life out of anything I want to do with pro wrestling. For multiple reasons. It had nothing to do with the stadium or the Rumble Ponies or anything like that, or even the amount of fans we had there. It had nothing to do with that.
Did it involve?
It just was
a certain.
Without going into details on the story, because I'm not we're ever talking about it publicly ever again.
By law,
an incident happened with a fan that should never have happened, so that was a thing. And then, Sean Carr broke his ankle before the show even happened. It was just a rough show across the board. So much stress. And then the idea that we did, I understand some companies run every month. They run, second Saturday of every month, and that's just what they do. We don't have that kind of schedule. We never have had that schedule. And doing 3 shows in 2 months was just a drain, just a drain on everything. Because one show, the show was supposed to be in, where was it supposed to be? Oneida. And then it had to get moved to Binghamton because the WWE was going to run the same time, 20 minutes away. We moved the show just to have the WWE cancel their show. Now we're stuck running in Binghamton because we already, put out there we're moving it, booking people around it. That was after doing a show in March where we had to cancel because we got 16 inches of snow. Lost our main event because of it. Rewind to December where we had what was supposed to be one of our biggest shows, and the main event calls me 3 days before the show and says he's not coming. Rewind to November where we were supposed to run Black Friday, and then I had an emergency surgery. It's been a grind for the last 6 months. It's just been a bummer. Even though we've had our best shows and made the most money so far, it's weird situation to be in. So I was ready to take a break, and now we're doing this Impact thing. Already made back, if I do my fuzzy math, which I tend to like to do, the money for the show already in one row, as long as I don't cut, Impact in with their cut. I know that sounds weird, but
fuck that.
You're gonna Vergania them?
No. I was just looking at I can.
Rest in peace, Vergania. But
if I look at it this way, from a promoter speak, you have to come up. See, okay, so one of the biggest pet peeves I have of people promoting shows is when they put on a show and they don't have the money to put on the show, and they hope that they sell the tickets to make up the money that it costs to run the show, and then they hand money out to the talent and whatever. I tend to try to have everything up front before I get to the building, regardless if we have 1 fan or 10 fans or 400 fans, because I don't want to be the promoter who's like, I don't have any money for you because only 30 people showed up.
Here's a piece of pizza and a bottle of water.
Exactly.
Wow. This is just.
I had to take a dig, and I think I think you know who I'm talking about, Moose.
I know who you're talking about. I think we talked about him last time I was on the show. It irritates me. So, looking at what I think the costs of this show are, we covered it almost all of it with Front Row. Now, I'm supposed to cut in Impact with a certain amount of money to them, and I also have to do taxes because you got to pay taxes on it. In my thought process is, well, I sold 1 row out. If I sell out, say, second row, that covers Impact for second row and first row. And then whatever taxes I have, I can do with GA, and then that gets into profit. I start thinking about how I'm going to pay for a show. Usually I don't have the luxury of saying, hey, it's only been 5 days and I got the show paid. It's a weird feeling, I suppose. Not a bad feeling, a rare good feeling in pro wrestling, but that's the initial penciled in budget for the show without really having any idea what the budget of the show is. So the whole plan could fall apart, especially if I just start booking dudes that I want to have at the show just to have them there. That causes problems sometimes. So we'll know maybe in a month after Impact gets their stuff together and figures out what exactly they want to do. I think they really want to get past Slammiversary, which I think is in 2 weeks, before they start, piecing in the matches and stuff like that. So we have a little bit of time. It throws me off because I'm real budget minded. I like to know how much I'm spending, and I just do the math over and over and over in my head. How many tickets do we need to sell? Okay, we need to sell this many tickets. What if we don't sell this many tickets? How many tickets of these do we have to sell? Things like that. And I can't do that because I don't know how many Xcite guys they want. It's kind of a weird feeling to do a show and not know what your budget is. But I have a generalized budget in my head. And but then again, I'm going to spend money on production stuff. We're going to curtain the whole building, ceiling to floor, which we've never done before, to make it less American Legion-like.
More aesthetically pleasing?
Yeah. I mean, we added some more lights in there, which made it look much better on camera, but the walls still have like all the Legionnaires on there, and
right.
Well,
yeah,
I have affection for all of that, especially being that it was my grandfather's Legion. And you're putting on a television product, you tend to not want to have a bunch of people staring at you on the walls, things like that. So, I mean, we're going to curtain all that, and I mean, I have that in the budget. And, until I start hanging it, I don't know if what I have in my head is real until I start seeing it. I think it will be fine. I just don't know how I'm going to curtain it where I don't curtain the doors, because I kind of want to curtain everything, but we'll figure it out. So
let's kind of talk about television production. We signed this Twitch agreement not too long ago.
Yeah, partnership with Twitch.
So how did that really get involved with us? And more importantly, how has Xcite Wrestling changed and adapted towards that audience now?
Flat out, we started the Twitch thing in September of last year. How that changed and adapted to what that is up to that point, we had 6 years or almost 6 years of footage that nobody's ever seen, because I never think it looks good enough. You start looking at and with this deal, I'm going to start releasing stuff against my own better judgment of aesthetics, not promoting. I mean, you look at it, I was talking to somebody about our first title match. We had a title tournament, and there was a lot of who's, but the main event was Adam Cole versus Shane Strickland versus Johnny Gargano versus Joe Gacy. A match you put on today, people would be freaking out about. Even 3 years ago, people were freaking out about, but nobody's ever really seen it. We've had, Hardy, we've had Gargano multiple times, we've had Cody a couple times, we've had all these guys, and I will look at something and I'll be like, oh, you can kind of see the wood of the frame of the thing holding the curtain. I don't like that. I'm not going to show anybody this. That's what goes through my head. We had 2 TV tapings at a nice building. I really liked it. Nobody else did. It was a much smaller building. The ceiling was low, but it was a very studio-like thing. And I would look at it and I'd be like, oh, I can see a ladder over there. I don't like it. I don't want anybody to see this. There's a ladder in the frame. I don't like it. That's kind of the obsessive compulsiveness that I have about releasing footage. And with this Twitch thing, there's no hiding anything. You put on a show, it's going to be good or it's going to be bad. Your set is going to be awesome looking or it's going to look shitty. There's no going back when you're doing live TV. So it's kind of taken me out of a very easy comfort place of knowing, well, if something doesn't go right, I'm not going to show anybody it anyways, so we're okay. Now I can't do that. Now we're out and about, and now we're going to be doing it worldwide, which is silly and stupid. So,
like you said, you had Cole, Gargano, Gacy, and who was the other one? Shane Strickland.
Strickland, yeah. So,
and that match, obviously, I didn't see it. That match sounds awesome, and I don't think anyone, and no offense to you, will pay attention to a ladder in the background. I think they just want to see the match. But I understand where you're coming from, production-wise. Like, man, that looks like crap. Like, I understand.
Yeah, I'm particular about that stuff. And I mean, that show, the first round match was Gargano and Cole. That was how we, started the first round of that tournament, was Gargano and Cole. I won't expose finishes and stuff, because you might ask how they were in the first round and somehow made it into the second round.
It's wrestling.
It's wrestling. And then it don't matter. The best part was there was a battle royal to get that last spot into the tournament. And I remember Chuck Taylor coming up to me. He's like, I'm going in this battle royal. I'm like, well, you didn't have to. I'm going in, and I'm probably not going to lose. I'm like, okay, do whatever you want. Just go have a ball. I don't care. So, it's little things like that on these shows that nobody's ever seen. There's a lot of stuff that we're going to be releasing here soon, because I'm making assumptions that we're going to have a much higher profile over the course of the next 2 months of us hammering that we're doing this pay-per-view. And see, it really is perception, public perception, and how you put it out there. Obviously, when Impact puts it out there, when they put it on their TV show, it's going to be mostly, hey, Impact's putting on a pay-per-view. Xcite Wrestling's going to be there. But Impact's putting out a pay-per-view. That's how they want public perception. They don't want a lot of people knowing that they're running pay-per-views with these other companies. I mean, they'll put it out. They know it's a team effort. But at the end of the day, it's still, an Impact show.
Right.
From our standpoint, and what other companies have to decide, is how they're going to, position themselves. Now, us, we're positioned as it's an Xcite show, and Impact is there. Pretty much the same thing that they're doing, just in reverse. But in my mind, it really is, because not only is it all our stuff, but I mean, it's going to be our production stuff. It's our cameras. It's all this stuff. When I say that Xcite Wrestling's producing a pay-per-view, we're going to be producing a pay-per-view. Now, are they going to bring in some of their own guys? I know they're bringing in their own camera guys, which is probably for the best, so they can get all the best angles and things like that. But, I mean, I don't know if they're going to bring someone in to run the switchers, or if that's going to be me in the back running the thing, because it's going to be our audio, our sound. They're going to have their commentators with Josh Matthews and Sanjay Dutt here running live commentary, but it's going to be with all our equipment. So when I say, hey, this is an Xcite deal, it really is an Xcite production. So it's all in perception. We're going to position it as, this is our biggest opportunity to get our name out there, and it really is. And, and I'm not knocking anybody else's company, but so, I mean, right now I'm seeing AML Confrontation. I just turned on Impact. It's on right now. I don't know if you know this, on Pop.
Yep.
They just had a thing. It had AML's logo on there, which is cool. They'll probably have Xcite's logo, my ripped off 9 Inch Nails logo, which will be tremendous to see on a thing that 300,000 people are seeing. So our awareness is going to grow, I assume, very quickly. And, we're going to position it as, this is just as much our show as it is their show, even though it's not our pay-per-view carriers. It's not our, wrestling network. It's all theirs. So.
Right. So I understand you want to. So yeah, I get it. You want to make your building look the best it possibly can, because you don't want to be like, oh, that's just another. I don't like to say this. That's just another indie company.
Well, no, and honestly, right? The Impact is just as worried about it as we are. Excuse me. I'm dealing with their head of production currently. He watched the Twitch show, which the Twitch show, this last show, was good, but there's a camera that's off. And people are like, oh, the camera's out of focus. The camera's not out of focus. I think the camera's broken, which is very disappointing to me. I think we have to either get the lens fixed or get a new camera, one of the two. I don't know if somebody told me that there might be a scratch on it, something like that. So that's what he's like, oh, well, one of the camera guys is out of focus. I'm like, I don't think he's out of focus. I think that, there was a problem with the lens. He looked at it and he's like, okay, well, here's what we need to do to make this better. And one of the things we talked about was curtaining off the room. And the funny thing is, I talked to him the Saturday after the show. I had already been looking at, 20, 25 foot curtains to, make the room look better before I even talked to them, because I knew what they would want. I would know what I would want. I assume it would be the same. So I was already looking at pricing everything out like that. He had thoughts on the hard cam and different things that we're going to have to adjust. It's not just me wanting to put the best foot forward and make it look as good as possible. Impact doesn't want to look just like just a regular indie. They want to look as big league as they could themselves. So it's kind of, for once, I'm not really worried as much about, hey, I got to pay for a show. How are we paying for the show? I'm not really worried about that, because I think we're going to sell a boatload of tickets. And given the way the deal is structured, it's not. It really is structured better for the independent company than it is for Impact. But I'm stressing more about the fact that I have to make this look good. It has to run smoothly. My cameras have to be right. Where are we putting the announcers? Because they're going to be doing live feeds. They're going to be doing live cut-ins, things like that. Where are we putting them? We're already planning on having as many people in that room as humanly possible. Where do you put a couple announcers? Things like that you have to start thinking about that I wouldn't normally think about. Sleazy could tell you, I literally just sit in the back. We have a nice big monitor. Me and Mike call commentary while 18 guys are whispering things into my ear that I'm hoping not going over the microphone. Nobody has to see it because it's just right there. Now we have to put them in front of a camera, so we have to make that look pretty. We have to, it's a lot of things that I wouldn't normally think about that I'm already thinking about. And for once, it's not money, which is a rare occurrence, really. So, I'm watching Impact now. Now they have a studio that they use in Toronto, and it looks spectacular. And I'm like, oh, how do I make myself look that? They want me to bring in a lighting guy to do special lighting for it. So that's something I got to find in the next 2 months. There are lots of little things that I never really think about that we're going to be thinking about for this show.
Right, and a lot of people in that building with extra lights. It's going to be hot, but it's going to be worth it. I'm going to be there. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it'll be hot, but I mean, it gets hot in that room anyways. We'll run the air conditioning, try to keep it as cool as possible. But when you get that many people, it gets warm in there. There's nothing you can do about it. I mean, I went out on Friday in front of the crowd, and with our extra lights that we usually don't have, and we didn't even have that big of a crowd. I mean, it was okay, but it was hot out there. So Gangrel came back, and he was just soaked, which was sad because he had to autograph that shirt for somebody, and it wasn't happening. But he's got Gangrel blood on it, so what else does he need?
That's perfect. Right. So for the show itself, there's a lot of guys on the Impact roster. What's the one guy you're most excited, Branding, to get a part of this show?
Well, okay, I don't know. That's a tough question. I mean, I'm going to go with the selfish answer over the promoter answer, and that's Eddie Edwards coming back to Binghamton, a guy I haven't seen since the last 2CW show, a guy I've texted multiple times, and scheduling just hasn't worked out to have him at our shows, to have him back at the Legion. When we made the announcement, I specifically, Sean kind of, pitched his name, and I'm like, no, because I knew I was going to save that for last, because I knew that would get the biggest reaction, because the fans love Eddie Edwards. They've always loved Eddie Edwards. He's been wrestling there for 10, 12 years now. It's just he hasn't been back since the 2CW closed. So for me, it will be nice to have Eddie back around, and that would be cool. But I mean, you look at LAX, they were just on Impact. They'll be there. Eli Drake, who, until he signed this extension, everybody just expected to go to the WWE because he's so good at what he does. He'll be there. Moose, people forget that Moose was a Syracuse alum, football player, has a big following in the area. He'll be there secretly. I've been waiting for him to come so I could tell him he's not the real Moose. I'm going to have to get industrial strength chair and or ladder and climb up it, which I'm not a big fan of because I don't like heights, just to see him face to face, because he's like 7'8", something like that. Yeah, it's cool. It's going to be a fun time. I don't even think they've given me the full roster of the guys that are coming. Alicia's coming, Eddie's wife, KM's coming, Fala Ba's coming. Did I say that right? I hope I said that right. I think I said that right. It's kind of a cool, eclectic group of Impact superstars coming, and it will be a departure from what we normally have, where maybe we would have one of those guys or ladies on a show, and that would be our headlining talent. For this show, all of them are going to be there. So it's just such a unique situation for us to be in, to have this much talent in the room all at the same time, on top of the Xcite regulars who they want to integrate to the show. Because I asked them, I said flat out, I'm like, hey, what's your plan for the show? Are we just going to get like a couple matches on, the undercard, maybe not necessarily on the pay-per-view, separate from everything, and then whatever we do on the pre-show? And they're like, well, no, it doesn't have to be Impact versus Impact. We like to mix things up, mix up the talent. So it sounds like, who knows what kind of dream matches might be happening on the 25th of August. We'll find out. Straight
mark coming out of me, Eddie Edwards versus Sean Carr. I mean, that...
you're not the only person that said that.
That would be amazing.
That, the funny thing about that match would be the fact that match was what made Sean Carr in 2CW.
Yes.
2CW, Sean was a tag guy, and he did well as a tag guy, but when he went to be a singles guy, they put him in with Eddie Edwards and said, hey, you're going to sink or you're going to swim with Eddie, because Eddie doesn't mess around. He's Eddie Edwards. He's one of the best wrestlers in the world. He'll chop you 89 times just cause, and you have to take it and survive it. And Sean didn't just do well, he thrived in that match with Eddie, and that kind of turned the fans from, this is just Sean Carr, local Binghamton kid, to, hey, this Sean Carr has something and is something. So, that match, if they wanted to go that route, would be a show stealer. And honestly, it would be a great thing for their pay-per-view. I don't know about for Impact branding, but they wouldn't have a much better match for that show than those two wrestling each other. It would be really, really good. And it would be a match that people would be talking about going, hey, I live in California. I don't know who Sean Carr is, but I do now. Why isn't this kid working everywhere? Or in Canada, hey, who's that Sean Carr kid? I heard about him. He won the Super 8, right? Yeah. Wow, I didn't see him before. He's really good. In Mexico, where Impact just signed their new deal, same thing. Some of these guys, if you give them a chance, people will open their eyes to it. That match would be something that I think would accomplish that goal. But it really depends on what Impact is looking to do. I mean, if they want to have that, really, really great pro wrestling match that doesn't have a story to it, then that's an awesome match to go with. Or they do, Eddie and he's feuding with Tommy Dreamer now. I don't know if Dreamer's coming in, but that would be a match that you would put on a pay-per-view if you wanted to push a story. So it really depends on what they're going to want and what they're going to want to achieve.
Right, and I was one of those fans where I was like, Sean Carr, okay, tag wrestler. And then I was at that show and I saw that match. I was like, holy crap, that turned me. So, and he's phenomenal.
Yeah, he's pretty all right. He needs to stop being so clumsy, but he'll be okay. Breaking his ankle on getting out of the ring.
He missed 0 shows, so.
Yeah, all right, fine. Fine. With his Super Cena healing abilities, I understand what's going on.
It was a work to get him on the next show. That's what it was.
It really wasn't. I really was worried that, this was going to be bad, which weighed on me probably more than it would on other people. But not only is he, former champion, not only is he the Binghamton guy, but he's a friend. He helps run the school. Sean's, we've always known each other. We've known each other a long time, all the way to where he was buying 2CW tickets as a fan for me at a place where I ran Skate Estate when I would just sell tickets out of the building. He would buy tickets from me, and we've known each other a really long time, but it wasn't until we started really working together at Xcite, really started working together at the school to make these kids better, that, you really start to become close and friends with people. And it really made me upset when he broke his, because we didn't know it was broken. The doctor looked at it and said, yeah, you have a sprain. You sprained your ankle a couple weeks ago. Yeah, that's probably something related to that. We'll tape it up real nice, and you'll be fine. Just walk it off, get the blood circulating. You'll be good. That night he took the tape off, it blew up, and then the next morning I got a message saying, well, it's broken. And so, he literally was wrestling that, because honestly, I wouldn't have let him wrestle on a broken ankle if I knew, or if anybody knew that it was broken. So I felt bad that I even let him wrestle. I was going based on the opinion of the doctor and his opinion, Sean's opinion, because he literally, like 2 weeks later, did something similar. He was doing just a dive to the outside, an easy one, not even a suicide dive or anything like that, and just rolled his ankle and sprained it. And he was on. What I find funny, not to deviate from my story, but again, Impact's on, and they're doing this story on Austin Aries right now, and they just showed a picture of Austin Aries covered in blood. That's not Impact. That's a 2CW show when he wrestled Colin Delaney, and Colin did a spring or like a over the top rope elbow, but he clipped him in his eyebrow and just gushed blood everywhere. And Impact's using that picture. I kind of find it funny. Completely unrelated.
Sleazy's gonna ref that show.
I was not. I believe that was the first show I took off when I pretty much quit 2CW. I believe that was the first show that I'm like, I'm not going. I'm done. I can't keep doing this. Because that was when they were running like 1 to 2 shows a month on top of our Xcite shows, and it was never ending. It always was hinted that it was going to end, never end. And finally, I was like, okay, after 8 years of this, I'm done for a bit. So that was the first show, completely unrelated to my Sean Carr story. So I'm sorry about that. But long story short, Sean breaking his ankle, that really was a bummer. And what the doctors had said was that they honestly believed that his ankle was injured previously, and not necessarily from that sprained ankle, because I don't even know if it was the same ankle. I think it was the other one. But they thought it was almost like a ticking time bomb, where it was going to go at some point. It just happened to go when he stepped, out of the ring, and we had to have boards elevate the ring a little bit because the stadium is uneven because of storm drains they have. And he stepped, the mats were over it, so he didn't really see it. Stepped down, rolled his ankle, and that's what pulled the bone off his ankle, pretty much. So it was a bummer. But, superhuman athlete that Sean is, he's already wrestling. And, he wrestled on Friday, 4 weeks, almost to the day from when he injured it. And he did not wrestle like I would have liked him to wrestle that match. He was doing moonsaults and dives and all the stuff that I would really not want him to do on a repaired ankle. But, nobody listens to me anyway, so that's the way that goes.
I'm loving it. Go ahead, Slizzy.
Oh, it's okay. I just want to... We kind of talked a little bit about the school. Let's hear a little bit about your take on the 607 Strong Academy. Who do you think, right off the bat, whose name do you want to say, you want to put over huge as the students are coming out of the school onto the Xcite roster? Who's your guy?
Well,
students?
Of the students.
What he wants you to say is his name, Moose.
No, he's not going to put me over. Fucking no-sells me all the time.
I've given him every opportunity to let himself heal, to get better. He keeps coming. His knees still hurt. I mean, it's been like 2 years. At some point, his knees should be better. It's not. How am I supposed to work with that? I had 18 matches lined up. His knee's still torn. I don't even know. I'm getting a healer. I'm going to have someone heal him because I feel like it just needs to happen at some point. So I can't use him as my perfect example. This question is what I would call a heater of a question, because if I say one person, another student's going to be like, hey, what about me? And it will get me heat with the students.
Which is exactly why I asked it.
Yeah, I bet. They're the ones that lift the heavy stuff. I'm not allowed to lift the heavy stuff. 2 hernias later, they don't let me lift anything. But what I will say is we have some really great kids coming out of the school. Everybody wants to look at Pat Sawyer. It's hard not to put him towards the front of the class just because, he's 7 feet tall, 6'9", 6'10". I call it 7 feet because eventually I'll get him lifts for his boots. So he'll be the new Kane, and he's a good kid to boot. He's only 20 years old. He's young, healthy, and he's just he wants to learn. Got a bit of an attitude problem, but all the kids have an attitude problem. It's something I deal with on a daily basis. But he lightens the mood, and he wants to learn, and he wants to help other people. Even if he wasn't a decent wrestler, that, I like having those kind of people around. I hate shitty people. Some people think that I'm one, which is fine. But I try to surround us, and I try to instill being a decent person in addition to, that's just a good wrestler, because this business is filled with crappy people across the board. So if anything, I'd like our students to not be that. Good wrestlers, all that good stuff, but, be decent human beings too. And he's, let's start with all the students. They're all green to begin with. They're all young. They all make mistakes. Him and his partner, Ray Ross, almost killed Mike Skyros because they were young and didn't, want to say no to anything, because that's not their personalities. So he still has a lot to learn. He has a lot to get better, but everywhere he goes, people are like, wow, I like having this guy around. There's a reason for that. It's not just because he's a decent wrestler, because he's getting better every match he has. Still has a long, long way to go, but he's good to have around. He doesn't cause problems. So you push him towards the front. Ray Ross, his partner, who is having some health issues right now. I love Ray a lot. Unfortunately, Ray has a big shadow cast over him, with his partner being, 6'10". People look at that, but they don't realize that Ray Ross, he lost like 35 pounds. He got himself into the best shape that he's been in. I mean, he was a football player, and he still was in better shape than that. He was super dedicated, super good. He's just having some health issues, which has deterred his ability to wrestle, maybe forever. I hope that's not the case. But he has to get his health together first. That's most important. But up to that point, he was one of my, if not my favorite, student that we put out. And then you got Simon Queen, someone Sleazy likes immensely. My personal assistant, Simon Queen, who is very dedicated, but we're working on certain things to make him better. We have to get him into better shape, and we just need to work on it. The big thing was Rob Cook and Stockade, who he finally got one up on him properly at this last show with Joey Ryan as a partner. They exploited his greenness for their gain, because he is young, he makes mistakes, things like that, and but he's someone that has a real passion for pro wrestling, real passion for Xcite, and those are the three. Those were, I would say, like the first class of Xcite. But now we got other guys coming up. Amari McKnight, he's a guy that was he's been wrestling off and on for like 4 years, but he was wrestling at ECPW and 3DW, and I'm going to be very political because I just made up with everybody, so I can't be can't be an a-hole. Their shows are not really like Xcite. They're different kinds of shows. There's a lot more young guys, a lot more green guys. they don't even run ECPW shows anymore, so it's not like I'm insulting them anymore. They have one more show, which is the Glenn Post show, which is a totally different kind of situation than them trying to run a show. They were more on the students on those shows with some veterans, and Amari McKnight. He was one of those guys that were on those shows. And the thing is, you can be in a class, you can be one of the best wrestlers in the class, but if you're not wrestling other good wrestlers, you're not going to learn. And he just wasn't learning, and then he got I don't know what the right word is, but he kind of disappeared for a while. When we started Xcite School, previous to the one we have now, which was like about 3 years ago, something like that, he was part of it, but we ran it a lot differently. We ran it a lot harder. It was a different kind of experience, and not everybody likes it at all. And so he disappeared, and then we talked, and I'm like, why aren't you coming back? You want to do this. Why aren't you doing this? And so now he got back into the fold. We're working out the kinks to get him back to where he was, and he's going to be really decent once we can get all the ring rust off and get him back to where he needs to be. His opponent, Joey Sassano, it's almost the exact same thing. Joey Sassano has been wrestling for like 6 years. But a lot of times we still call him a student because he's still learning. And actually, most wrestlers should be considered students of the game, because if they're not, then, if they're not learning, they're not doing it right.
Even John Cena still learns.
Exactly. And anyways, I'm getting caught off by Katrina or whatever her name is on Pop here. What I'm trying to say is Katarina. Sorry, I messed up her name. I'm no good with names.
Fuck them.
Anyways, what did you just say?
He said fuck them.
Fuck them all.
Yeah,
the names.
Yeah. The company that he's doing business with, fuck him.
Fuck all.
Yeah, I think he's doing it wrong. So sometimes we do things right. I think he's doing it wrong. To wrap it up, Joey, Joey's biggest problem, he's about as athletic as you can be. He really, really is. He's like, John, at the last show I did a coast to coast. I'm like, yeah. He's like, I think I can do corner to corner. Not corner to corner like, down the ropes. I mean, corner to corner across the ring.
Like diagonal.
And, yeah. And I'm like, oh, no. And you know what? He's still got a crash pad and did it. He's super athletic. His problem is he goes too quick, and he needs to slow down and learn how to wrestle with not going 100 miles an hour and everything meaning something. And, we had Thomas Santil debut on this last show, and I put him in with Tyree and Joe on purpose because he's a guy that's wrestled around the world. He's a guy that's wrestled for the WWE, and he's a guy that across the board, anybody that's ever learned from him has really learned from him. And
I want to step in real quick here.
Yes.
Thomas Santel, for people who don't know who he is, and actually I met him backstage, and I couldn't put two and two together, and then realized it's Antonio Thomas. If you've never,
I cannot confirm or deny any of that.
Well, you can't. I can.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's
Screw
the case.
him.
Anyways, what I'm trying to say is he, has trained dudes for years. He is a really, really good worker. And so I thought, okay, well, let's put these two kids in a match where if they were in a match by themselves, a match that should be like 10 minutes long would probably be 5.5 minutes because they would just be moving way too quick. put him in with a guy that knows how to really work, and he beat him up pretty good, which is fine. They need to have that, but both of them said by the time they were done that they enjoyed it thoroughly because they were in there with a real pro that was able to be like, all right, kids, this is what we're going to do. And, it went really well. We have some other kids. We have Alex. He's coming up. He hasn't had a match yet. I'm going to start blanking on everybody's name, and then I'm going to get heat. This is why I did not want to do this question. We have Bad Brad. He's getting there. We have M, our first female student. I guess Jess was our first. We have 2 female students. We have Grizzly and Lincoln, who have been doing the last few shows, who are really big guys, and they're really starting to get it. The problem with big guys, and the problem also with even Simon and with Pat Sawyer, is they forget they're big guys. They forget that the big guy is an attraction in pro wrestling. They want to be little guys, and that's not what their role should be. They should be big. They should be gigantic. They should be monsters. And, Grizzly and, Lamar Hawkins is really starting to get it. And when they get it, they start getting, into really good ring shape. They're going to be monsters, real monsters. And, this, like I said, the school, we have a 14-year-old kid in Braden who's just learning. He's super dedicated. And I figure, we should have him be a tremendous wrestler because we're going to have 4 years of training before he actually gets to have his first match. It's a really nice crew. We just added a student. I think we might have a couple more students coming. We keep adding students. It keeps getting bigger. The school is, since we moved into the Legion, gotten much bigger, much better. It's, I'm very proud of the school, honestly.
Where can you find tickets for August 25th?
Well, it's funny you asked that question. If you go to www.xcitewrestling.com/shop, that's where you'll find general admission tickets and second row tickets. Front row, as we've already discussed, is sold out. Second row tickets, reserve seats, doesn't have all the bells and whistles of the VIP. $25 gets you a reserve seat. Now, you might be saying, well, geez, $15 gets me a GA. I'm saving $10. But listen, when I tell you, having a reserve seat, your name on that seat, your ticket has the section and the seat number on it. That's your seat, and that's super important on a show where we're going to have a tremendous amount of general admission people. So having a reserve seat means you don't have to worry about what time you get to the building. You don't have to worry about, am I going to find a place to sit down? Your seat's already taken. It's well worth the extra 25 or extra $10 for a second row seat. I suggest getting that. We're already selling them. I'm pretty happy about that, honestly. We've tried doing second rows before, and we've sold maybe like 10, I think. We haven't sold a ton of them. I think we're already at like 4 or 5 sold, and we put them on sale last night. So, we have 2 months. Odds are second row will probably sell out. The full, whatever it is, 60 or 70 of them. And then GAs, we're going to try to jam-pack this room as tight as we can do it. 2CW has the largest audience in that building, which was like 520 people, I think, something like that. They used the stage and put like 30, 40 people on the stage. We can't do that. That's our production area. That's where we have people come out to the ring. We just don't have the space to let people sit on the stage. So we can't hit that number. But honestly, I don't know if I want to deal with the stress that would come with that number, even though I'm a greedy dude who wants the ticket money. I'd rather have less people, be a little bit more comfortable, and have a little less logistical issues. But we want to jam-pack this building. I mean, if we only have 200 people, so be it. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I think we're going to really pack that room, and I want to, because Impact looked at us and they asked where we could do the show from, and we gave them a couple options, but they went with the Legion because I said that we can manage the Legion much easier than these other buildings where we haven't necessarily ran. I can run the production better. I can make it look prettier. So I'm kind of taking it in, saying, hey, come to my smaller building and I will make it good for you. And so I kind of have a little pressure to sell as many tickets as possible because I want that room to look as jam-packed as humanly possible. So when you tune in to that pay-per-view, you're like, I don't know where this is, but that looks like that's a pretty awesome time right there. You look at Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, they run from an American Legion, or at least they did. I don't know. Last I knew, the building got sold and they had to move. They could have gone to any bigger room that they wanted to go to. They're selling out tickets well in advance. They didn't have to be at a smaller building that's a Legion, but they wanted it because it created that atmosphere. Our building, as Sleazy knows, is a very chaotic, phonetic building where the fans are obnoxious and they have the cheapest beers, so they're drunk, and they're extremely loud for such a small building and such a small amount of people. I think it will What's that?
It's an amazing experience.
It can be. A lot of wrestlers who've never been in that building will go in that building and they'll be like, well, what's the house? Oh, it's about 210. Oh, and they kind of get that look on their face. Oh, that's not a lot of people. Then they get out there and then they realize, oh, okay, now I see what I'm dealing with. And they want to come back because they enjoy it. Scott Steiner, who we had in April, was like, so what's the house going to be? You know, at our 300 or whatever we had for Scott Steiner, you know, he wrestled in Elmira, which was like 500. He wrestled in Watertown, which was like 1,000. So this was like the smallest show of the bunch. But you know what? He got the biggest reaction. He probably had the most fun at our show because he asked, well, what do you want me to do? I want you to be an asshole and be a heel to everybody. And he's like, well, because nobody, when you bring in him, immediately you think, okay, he's a baby face. Everybody's going to cheer him. It's, you know, no, not me. I want him to come out and be a jerk to every drunk a-hole that's in the building because they're going to enjoy it. They're going to pop for it. They're going to think it's the best. He comes out, and that's what he does, and he enjoyed the crap out of it. It was easy for him to go out and be the bad guy because that crowd makes it easy. So I want Impact to come out and be like, oh, this isn't what we expected. This is not. We are pleasantly happy with what we're dealing with, and that's my goal. That's my plan. We'll see how much we accomplish, but you know, I have grand schemes of what we should be doing and how I want this to come across.
I certainly can't wait. You can find Xcite Wrestling on Facebook at facebook.com/Xcite Wrestling, Xcite. Also on Twitter at Xcite Wrestling, Xcite. Moose, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
No, I appreciate it. I'm glad you guys had me. You know, I always enjoy talking to you guys. Fat Man wasn't there last time we did this. It was just you and me, Sleazy.
God forbid I have to make money.
You know, F you, man.
For making money.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm pretty bitter about anybody making money because there's no money in pro wrestling. So I get envious and then I get mad and jealous. So no, this was fun. I hope maybe I could be wrong and you could tell me no, but I'd hope maybe we can have me back before the pay-per-view. I'd love to come back and talk about, a little bit more detail of what we have going on, matches, things of that like, be able to tell you, oh yeah, we're sold out with 2 weeks to go. Or yeah, we only sold the 75 tickets I talked about, 2 months ago. So this is the last show. I quit. We'll see. We'll see how that goes.
You're just waiting to come on here to say you quit. That's all you're looking for.
I've been trying to quit. I literally been trying to quit, and people won't let me quit. I think I'm buying a new ring next week. I want, it's just my best efforts to just be like, okay, guys, it was a good run. It's not working. So.
Well, look at Josh. He tried it, and 2 years later, they're still bothering him.
The funny thing is, I said I was going to take a break, and I was looking forward to the car ride. We're going to go see me, the wifey, and Josh are going to go to Phil Collins, and I was waiting for the car ride where he'd be trying to convince me to stay done, and I'd be trying to convince him to not start again. And that would be the conversation. He's about as happy as a clam. Are clams happy? Because I'm going with that, and not running wrestling and not getting into arguments with camera guys on Facebook about how they're not doing my show, and things like that. He's thoroughly enjoying not being part of any of that, and me, I'm in the middle of all of it. I'm
I don't know what the fuck it is with upstate New York wrestling, but is it just me, or is it just like more drama here than any place else in the country?
I guess
maybe it's
it's weird because like ESW and me, we get along really good. The promoter Brett, we have no issues at all. Me and Ash, their production guy, no problems at all. But it seems like we can't, everybody else can't get on the same page. Even my own camera guys are ditching me because I don't know. Everybody, the funny thing is, me and Josh, to go back to it, Josh was like, here's what you need to do after this Impact thing. Just tell everybody you're done. Even if you don't think you're done, tell everybody you're done. And then tell you who will actually contact you after. If they think you're done and they still get a hold of you, then they're good people. They like you. They want to talk to you. They're your friends. But the other people that ghost you, that's they're the people that never were in there except for a booking. Man, that Brian Cage is a kind of a monster, isn't he? So, anyways, and I had him laughing because I'm like, yeah, I haven't even quit yet. My camera guys ghosted me already. They're already gone. They've already left for greener pastures. And I haven't even quit yet. So
those fuckers that work like Wild Zero and shit.
Don't even get me started on the Wild Zero stuff. Here's the thing. I gave this advice, and I don't think anybody pays attention to anything I say. Sometimes my advice is good advice. One, if you're going to run a wrestling company in a town like Syracuse, where that was 2CW's home forever, since show one, there's a reason why I haven't run Syracuse. I've had fans that come here from Syracuse that would really enjoy me running Syracuse, and so they wouldn't have to come down here. Oswego, Watertown, Oneida, people would go to my Syracuse show because it's so much closer than coming to Binghamton, but I wouldn't run there, and I still haven't run there. Why? Because people are still hung up on 2CW. rightfully so. It's the hometown promotion. Now, it's their own fault that now companies like UW run there, because
Blasphemy.
They made it seem. Yeah, I know.
Don't say that promotion on our podcast ever again.
Sorry. There's a reason why companies like that run, because they don't have any kind of respect for 2CW and 2CW's legacy. They went right into 2CW's building and ran in front of 30 people, thinking like this is a big event. It was not. And the fact of the matter is, that's what I was trying to avoid. They don't care. They'll just run that show. It's partially, I'm going to get heat for this, the fans' fault, because they made it so difficult to want to run there that I refused to run there. And instead, they could have had me, who like Xcite or don't like Xcite. It's a quality product. Is it 2CW? Maybe not in their eyes, and that's fine. But it's not that other company. It would have been better, and I would have treated that building with respect. And now they don't have that, because it became such a issue trying to think about running that place that, now they get what they get. Wild Zero, I don't have a problem with Wild Zero. They're at least bringing in some pretty good talent. I don't like the fact that they marketed it as, hey, we have another wrestling company that used to be here. Forget about them, even though we're going to have half the roster on the show. This is something new. Come watch our new show. And then didn't pretty much advertise it at all. And then, are like, oh, this is something special. And is it? It was done the wrong way. The people running the company all live in Rochester. Why didn't they try this in Rochester first, build up a name, then try Syracuse? It was just like, oh, we'll go into Syracuse. Yeah, we'll go into this market. They learned it's very hard to go into that market. And I don't want to say I fear for their show, because I really don't care about anybody else's show that they run. People have to make their own mistakes. But running on September 1st, when the whole world that enjoys pro wrestling is not going to be thinking about anything but one show, I don't have good feelings about how that show is going to turn out. Not only that, the state fair is going on during that time. Listen, I ran my second show against the Avengers, a circus, baseball game, and another wrestling company 2 miles away. That was a poor choice of scheduling, running against All In and fans that want to, that are either going, because I know there's a good contingent of fans that are going to Chicago instead of being in Syracuse. And now that they have their streaming stuff, that are just going to want to watch that show live as it happens, because they know special things are going to happen on that show, and they don't want it spoiled because they went to something else. It's going to be a hard sell for people to go to that show on that date. And like I said, the state fair is running. I don't know if there's a concert that day, it's even more death. I don't know. That's my own personal advice. I think it's a poor choice to start, but nobody ever listens to me, and I'm a bad guy anyways when it comes to me giving advice anyways. So, it will be between the three of us, and if something doesn't go to plan like they're hoping it does, the three of us will know that I said, hey, this probably wasn't a great idea, but nobody will care.
Like when I first, because I was debating about it, because me and Sleaze were talking about Wild Zero, and I was debating about going to the next show. When I found out it was September 1st, I'm like, nope.
Well, especially considering it's now pretty much done and over with. Guess who's going to be there or at the state fair that day?
Who?
Ozzy Osbourne.
Yep.
Oh, okay. That's the day Ozzy's there?
Yeah, that's the day Ozzy's there.
Yeah, okay. So, listen, I know that they were going for the counterculture. We're going to be anti-establishment and stuff like that. I get it, except that show in Chicago is the ultimate anti-establishment show.
Right.
It's the ultimate FU to the establishment, which is WWE. And the Dave Meltzers who said they could never draw 10,000 people.
Oh, okay. By the way, Sleazy, contractually obligated. Fuck Dave
Meltzer.
Fuck Dave Meltzer.
Okay. Sure.
Go ahead.
So, long story short, they're running it as that counterculture show, but the counterculture show that everybody wants to be at is in Chicago, happening that night. And they can say, they try to say, oh, we didn't know it was going to be streamed. That's a lie, because Cody, since they sold it out in a half hour, said, yeah, we don't know what the plans are, but we're going to make sure anybody that wants to see this show can see this show that weren't able to get tickets in 30 minutes. They've been saying it since day one, so they might not have confirmed, hey, this is happening, but it's all been talked about, and anybody with a brain would know that, one, they have the YouTube show that they do that's getting ungodly amount of hits. They started a Twitch channel. They have connections to both New Japan and Ring of Honor that both have their own streaming services and both have pay-per-view deals. So why would anybody think that they wouldn't, be streaming it in some way? I think that's I either they're being disingenuous or dumb, one of the two, because I don't buy it. And Ozzy, you know what? If I wasn't going to be in Chicago, I'd rather be at Ozzy than any pro wrestling show, including my own, honestly. So I'm, I guess if you're a wrestling fan and could care less about Ozzy, then yeah, you'll go to a wrestling show. But and this might sound critical, and I might be coming like it's crapping on them. I'm not, because I'd rather see them run good shows at that building than horrible ones. So I'm ultra critical, but I'm ultra critical for a reason, because I'd rather see people succeed than not succeed. And the way they're doing this is a recipe to not succeed than to succeed. So I don't know.
Yeah, giving constructive criticism.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I ran Coney Island with 0 fans once. I've had the worst of the worst shows that you could possibly have. I've seen it, I've done it, I've experienced it. So when I'm critical of somebody else saying, hey, maybe you should rethink this, it's because I've already done it. I've already plowed those fields of good shows and bad shows. I've done it. I'm not proud where I wouldn't tell you. I've had some horrible shows. I've had some horrible draws. That's pro wrestling. And anybody that's like, yeah, my company's the best, it's always been the best, I don't listen to people like that, because it probably wasn't, and you probably had some shitty shows. So
but it's okay to have a shitty show.
Hey, listen, I've learned from every show that we've done, good and bad. A lot of times bad. And I have some friends who are not shy about telling me when we do something really shitty. They are almost gleefully ready to tell me when we do something shitty. But then we do something really good. You look at our Twitch, and I'm not about to start putting over Xcite, because who the fuck wants to do that?
Fuck that.
Exactly. But you look at Twitch. Okay, the holy grail of pro wrestling used to be to do an iPay-per-view. That used to be the thing. For 2CW, that was a really big thing, because it was a really big thing back then. 2CW ran 3 iPay-per-views, 4 with the last show, sorry. 4 iPay-per-views. 2 of them were free. 1 they charged for, and then the last one I believe was free. They ran a company who did sports production. That's what they did. They had their own streaming ways of doing things. They had the cameras. They had all the wires. They had the bells and whistles. Josh paid a lot of money to have them come run the shows, and run the shows really, really well.
There wasn't, periods where it would drop off for 5 minutes. There wasn't, you look at Ring of Honor even, or Evolve, they would run these iPay-per-views and they would just crash and they would work and they would buffer. 2CW ran 4 iPay-per-views flawlessly with very minor issues that would be nitpicking, with someone like me nitpicking stuff. We started this Twitch thing, didn't know what we were doing, bought the equipment that we knew we had to do. I have a guy that is a Twitch guy who streams and knows what he's doing on that end. I have 2 sound guys who that's what they do, podcasts and radio and stuff like that. The key about those 3 is they're not wrestling people. And when you get rid of wrestling people, things tend to work well. The streaming company Josh used, no, seriously, the streaming company that Josh used, not a wrestling company. They did sports for real. Things worked well when you don't involve wrestling people. When you start involving wrestling people, that's when it goes downhill. So we did the Twitch thing. It was 3 people, me, Mike, and Austin, who kind of put it together. Then we put a team together, and we all kind of came together and learned how to do Twitch on our own without knowing how to do it. And if you look at our last show, I don't think we had any crashes as far as I know. The sound was infinitely better. There was no echo on our announcing. There wasn't much of an echo on the ring announcer, except for the fact that it's quiet due to the way we have the sound rigged. But it's not like it was where there was like a 3 person talking echo. Hey, it looks like LAX is getting attacked by LAX.
Nice.
I could be wrong, but I think that's what I'm seeing here. So when they say LAX is coming to Binghamton, I wonder what LAX we're actually getting. These are probably all questions I should ask at some point. Who we're actually getting on this site. But I like seeing Homicide. Homicide's pretty good. I once called him a cunt at a wrestling show once. That was pretty good.
Oh no, you cannot just leave that like that. You need to tell the story. The funny thing, my wife never went to. Before I started doing the production for 2CW, I would just go to shows. I would just buy tickets. I would go to shows. I would get drunk, and my wife came to a 2CW show. Never came to a 2CW show before. Had her come to the show. Homicide came as a surprise. He was wrestling Isis Effects, and anybody that really knows me or knows anything about me knows Isis Effects is my favorite pro wrestler of all time, which is more of a personal thing than anything. Long story short, Homicide wrestles Isis as a surprise. I started drinking a little bit, and in front of my wife, Homicide was doing his thing. I'm like, shut up, you're just a cunt. Really loud. And my wife's like, I don't even know who you are. I don't even know where we are. She left after that match. She's like, I gotta go. You have fun. Make sure someone drives you home. And yeah, that was the first time I met Homicide. It was after that show, and we were discussing, I think, ring rats. So it was, it was a good show for the first time that I met Homicide, even though I called him a cunt. So yeah, so that's my Homicide story. Yeah, I believe that was also the same show that Antonio Thomas was there and debuted, and we went to the Belmar across the street, and he was still pretty young, forgot his license, and they wouldn't let him in the bar, and I started laughing at him and left him outside so I could go in and get drunk. Yeah, that was a good night. Oh my God.
So, with that note, make sure you go to XciteWrestling.com/shop, buy your tickets to the show. Someone from LAX will be there.
We just don't know who.
Apparently there's 8 dudes that could possibly be in LAX, maybe all or some. When I got the listing emailed to me, it just said simply LAX. So I gotta go with some of them. I keep seeing that they have their own special entrance. I'm not really sure how we're gonna do that one yet, but I'm working on it. We'll come up with something. Yeah, it should be tremendous.
Well, thank you, Moose, for coming on the show. We will have you on again before the 25th for sure. Okay?
Yeah. And if you ever
absolutely.
If you ever want me just to come on, not to talk about Xcite Wrestling, but just to shoot on people, because I think that's what you're really hoping I was going to do.
And
I didn't, because, you caught me. I was already a little grumpy. Then we started talking about ticket sales, and it made me happy again. And, in all seriousness, this is something special for my company. Maybe it's a one-off. We don't do anything with Impact ever again, which I'm hoping isn't the case. I hope we blow them away and then want to do more shows, maybe go into new markets that we can get into with their talent and the Xcite talent. I see this as our chance for us on a large scale, which honestly, I don't care what you care about Impact or don't care about Impact. They've had a lot of ill will and goodwill with fans at times. But here's what I know. 300,000 people watch their show every week nationally. They have deals in Canada because they're a Canadian company at this point. They just signed a New Mexico deal. They're across the world in syndication. People ask, what the second biggest wrestling company. You can make the argument Ring of Honor is because they do so much touring. But at the same time, nobody's watching Ring of Honor's product as much as people are watching Impact's product. Ring of Honor doesn't have the syndication deals worldwide that Impact does. For us, this is putting our product and our production, which scares the piss out of me, on a grand stage for literally the world to see. And I mean, the world can see our Twitch broadcasts, and we've had people in England and Spain and South Korea watch our shows on Twitch, which is really cool. But now this is a whole different level. So in all seriousness, all joking aside, I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself. I'm putting a lot of pressure on my crew to make this our biggest and best show that we've ever run. You can talk to me on August 26th. Actually, don't. That's my wife's birthday. Don't talk to me on August 26th. Let's wait till the 27th, and I will tell you how we did. But this is something special for us, and I can't, even though I joke and I'm self-deprecating, I can't dismiss what this show could mean for us. While I'm happy about ticket sales and all that stuff, my mind is going nonstop. For once, not about money, which is weird, but about all the other things that we need to accomplish to make this show really, really special.
It definitely will be. Again, XciteWrestling.com/shop to get your tickets. August 25th, Binghamton, New York, the Legion Post 80, 76 Main Street. Get your tickets now. They will not last.
They're not.
Once again, like I said, thank you for coming on the show. Enjoy
Thanks,
the rest
guys.
of the night, okay?
I really super appreciate it.
Thanks, Moose.
Yep.
So, once again, just have to put over XciteWrestling.com/shop. You can also find all information about Xcite Wrestling on Facebook at Facebook.com/Xcite Wrestling, or if you're a Twitter hound, at Xcite Wrestling.
And while we're doing plugs, we might as well do shopgear.com.
Yes, ShopGear.
ShopGere.com for all your Amazon shopping needs.
And also, we didn't do this at the top of the show because I wanted to get right into the episode, But Blue Smock Nancy, they're wonderful. They let us use that wonderful song, Unsettling Differences. You can find them on iTunes and Spotify.
And another big shout out to Jonny Moose. Really appreciate him coming on the show, and we'll definitely have him on because I really want to know what those matches are. Make Sean Carr versus Eddie Edwards happen.
We might. Who knows? Let's do some cleanup here. It was a nice, wonderful interview. We've got a couple of other things to touch on. We've got a bunch of news and rumors, and two, I don't want to say controversies, but two little bits of information I want to talk about before the night is out. So let's start with, what do you have for news?
Not much. We touched on last show about how Ring of Honor isn't running Madison Square Garden because WWE said no. Well, according to Fuck Dave Meltzer, Ring of Honor, since now WWE is going to be on the Fox Broadcasting Company, guess who just happens to own some of those syndicated shows? Syndicated Fox channels across the country.
Oops.
Syndicated Broadcasting, who owns Ring of Honor. So they may make it hard for WWE to go. I don't think they will, but this is according to Fuck Dave Meltzer. They may make it very difficult for WWE to go on those shows in those markets, and they just may show local broadcasting during the SmackDown hours. Again, I don't think that will happen, but
it's a dick move, but it's a warranted dick move, if you ask me. WWE could easily squash them, being the conglomerate they are, but I'm sure that at this stage of the game, Sinclair does like money, and unfortunately, SmackDown is money. So.
Oh, I know. All right, I got some Brock Lesnar news. Apparently, we kind of talked about this last show too, about how Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns at SummerSlam and how the fans are going to shit on it for being in the New York market. Apparently, Vince McMahon thinks the same, and has a rumor and innuendo has decided to not have Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam.
Okay,
because apparently he has maybe one more match under him, and that's obviously the match he's going to lose the title to Roman Reigns. And if you put him in the market, that New York market, they're going to shit all over it. So
I disagree with that, and I'm going to say it this way because it's kind of weird what I'm going to say. I don't think Brock Lesnar's done with WWE. I think this is a stalling tactic so that Vince can convince him to do more matches. I don't think he's going to lose whatever match he has with Roman Reigns. I don't think he's going to lose to Roman Reigns. I think they're going to have another match, but I don't think he's going to lose to him.
Really? So you think Lesnar is going to beat Roman Reigns again?
Again. I think that there's going to be another match with Braun Strowman, and that's going to be the big one. I think that Reigns is going to win again, and Braun is going to cash in.
But you said
or lose. Excuse me, lose, and then Braun's going to cash in.
I don't. Only because it makes no sense that way. Why would it be like he's young crown champion, blah, 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 to win, then he just loses to him, and then Strowman cashes in? Like, that makes no sense storyline-wise. But again, it's fucking WWE, and they don't make any fucking sense to begin with, so...
Well, here's the other thing that you could do. You could tell the story of the uncrowned champion being a dick and getting another shot. And it's a perfect way of turning Roman heel by showing that Braun could get the job done easily, But look at how many times Roman tried and failed. And you could almost play it off as a I won, and now Roman's got to be a dick about it type thing.
But I don't think they're going to turn Roman heel. I think Vince is going to at least try to make him a babyface still. Is it going to work? No, it won't. So he should turn him heel, but I think Vince is steadfast at being okay. He's our next star. How many WrestleManias has he been in the last match in? 4, 5 straight now? 4 straight?
Yeah, 4.
So I mean, I don't think anybody else has done that. Have they? Well, besides Hogan, but...
Well, yeah. So not since the 80s, you know.
So, So he's... And Roman's not bad. He really isn't. He's actually a great worker. Still a little shitty on the mic, but you don't need him to be on the mic. The fans like him most when he's not talking and just being a badass.
I agree with that.
Instead of having him come out there throwing freaking story fucking fairy tale fucking stories about Big Show when he's a giant beanstalk, blah blah blah. Just give him the talking points and let him go through it. Give him a 2-minute freaking promo. Don't let him be cute. Just let him go out there and be a badass. The fans will like him more.
That's why he worked in the Shield, because he came in. His promo was, "I'm the best. I'm the badass. I'm the Rock. Done." And then he was the big badass of the Shield. He was the guy that powerbombed people, you know. The other two helped, but he was the powerbomber. You know what I mean? And that sounds strange, but that's why the group got over, is you had these two amazing talkers, and you had Roman, who didn't really talk, but he could back it up in terms of being this humongous guy that, you know, was an athlete in every sense of the word. Now he's just this promo hound that can't do shit.
He's infused with fucking Jinder Mahal.
Yeah, that got him over. I'll put butts in seats.
Okay, Tony. You want to talk about this, Tyler Hendricks.
Okay, so, spoiler, everyone. There is a new Ring of Honor World Champion. Jay Lethal's won the world title in the last tapings in Halifax, I think it was, Virginia?
Fairfax.
Thank you.
Halifax is in Nova Scotia.
There we go.
And that's in Canada. We're taping this the day after Independence Day. America,
fuck yeah.
America, fuck yeah.
God damn it. So, after he won the title, a bunch of people, you know, hey, congratulations, blah, 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 blah. And out of kind of nowhere, Taylor Hendricks pops up on Twitter and basically says, well, Jay Lethal wanted to sleep with me. I said no, so now he buried my career at Ring of Honor. Now, wow. I always have to walk the line with these because, as we always say, we don't know the whole truth. We never know what's happening in the background. Unless you're there, and frankly speaking, Bruce Pritchard has it best in that respect. Unless you're there, you don't know exactly what's happened. Okay? That being said, Taylor Hendricks has had a history of, how should I put this? Getting herself into positions where she's had a problem with not being able to get on cards and stuff like that, and then blaming other people for it. She also said in a later tweet that, oh my god, I'm also getting a hold of a lawyer, blah, 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 blah. Which, to me personally, now, I'm not a real lawyer. Spoiler, I only play one on TV.
Kayfabe broken.
Kayfabe broken there.
Hashtag kayfabe broken, hashtag doesn't matter, hashtag house show.
Thank you. But I believe that any lawyer worth 2 cents would have told her shut the fuck up if you're actually planning on legal action.
But did you also realize that she contacted a lawyer? This happened last April, not April 2018, but April 2017, and she contacted a lawyer right after that. Yeah, that's what she said in her tweet. Is it true? Don't know. But that's what she said in her tweet. So, I mean...
So this is a year later and she decides to... What? Shoot on Jay Lethal because he won the title?
That might be true.
You know, and that's the thing, is that...
Those allegations could have been there the whole time. We just didn't know about it.
Right. And...
Or it could be full of shit.
Yeah, so you don't really know what's going on.
No.
I just bring it up into the fact that it's interesting timing.
And wasn't she the one who was like, went down to the ring with Jay Lethal during his House of Truth days?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
It wouldn't be the first person in Ring of Honor to leave Ring of Honor on tenuous circumstances, let's just put it that way. I could think of one right off the bat, but I'm not going to say who, but you could probably figure it out. Yeah.
No, I literally had to clear my throat.
Really?
Yeah.
Fucking shoot clearing your throat for no reason? Fucker.
For no reason but to clear my throat.
Fucker. Well,
on a radio show?
On a radio show that I could have edited out, and now I don't, so.
Fucking prick.
I know. Isn't it amazing? Let's talk about something else that came up right around the same time. Actually, it was just before. You heard about...
Okay. Before that, I do want to touch on something else. Matt Capitella.
Oh, yes. So, Matt Capitella is... He was the first Tough Enough winner. Unfortunately, he died from a brain tumor that had grown back. He had a brain tumor for, I want to say, 3-4 years. It got rid of it for a little while, but it came back and it just decimated. As they like to say out there, you know, thoughts and prayers to the family. He has a bit of a local connection to us. He's from originally Caledonia, New York. A lot of the local guys knew him. A lot of guys grew up next to him in the business. So it hit a lot of people pretty hard around here. So he will definitely be missed.
True.
So one of the other. Do you want to talk about more news and rumors before we get to Kevin Sullivan?
I think there may have been one more, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
Okay. Well,
Bray Wyatt's car accident.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that real quick. So, what the fuck is wrong with you? What were you doing in a car, Mr. Bray Wyatt?
You, meaning Bray Wyatt, pronouns, pal.
Fuck you.
Well.
You know.
You knew. So he was driving to the airport, trying to make a flight to get to a town, and he wasn't paying attention, and he hit a car.
Bad, too.
Was he from Rochester? Jesus Christ.
Wow.
I went there.
That's pretty low. I love it. 5 stars. It would have been 6 if it was in the Tokyo.
The Tokyo Dome. Thank you so much.
I think that Mr. Wyatt was preoccupied with something else trying to get to the airport. Let's just put it that way.
Should I say it?
Yes, of course you should say it.
JoJo was sucking him. Jesus Christ.
Thank you.
There we go.
I alluded to it, and I needed you to say it.
You teed it up for me.
And you knocked it right out of the park.
Yeah, Yankee Stadium, because it's a Little League field. Go ahead.
We know how short our walls are. So, Kevin Sullivan. Kevin Sullivan was on some radio show. I don't even know what it was. I could probably find it. I don't care enough to find it. I'm not putting them over. Fuck them. They're our competition. But he wanted to talk about how Ring of Honor doesn't know the ratings of their own show. The fact that Ring of Honor lost their cool factor. And kind of how that the All In show that we kind of talked about earlier kind of proves the fact that Ring of Honor lost their cool factor. So I'm going to read a couple of quick snippets from the interview. So if this is from Kevin Sullivan directly. So if you and I shoot an angle on segment 2, I can't tell you if that angle got over or not. These people are booking with their hands tied and blindfolded. How can you progress not knowing if you're succeeding or not? The main thing with Sinclair is politics. Wrestling is not a fly on an elephant's ass. That's his words, obviously. It's a gnat on the fly of an elephant's ass. I don't know how you can expect these guys doing the writing to know whether or not they're succeeding or not. That tells me they, Sinclair, really don't care. They just need to fill an hour segment or a 2-hour segment on their broadcasts. So let me talk about that real quick to get an idea of this. Because of the fact Sinclair Broadcasting sends out the Ring of Honor wrestling show at different times of the day on different days in different markets.
Great. Okay, so here's a perfect example of this. I used to live in Waterloo, New York. When we got TV, it was out of Syracuse because for some reason Syracuse was closer. It was on Saturday nights at like 7 or 8, right. I think. When I moved back here to Phelps for the Rochester market, it's on – no, that's a lie. In Syracuse, it was on Sundays at like –
2. It's still on at 2 on
2
Sundays.
In the afternoon.
Yeah.
Here, it's on Fox. Here, it's on ABC Saturdays at like 5, I think. Or vice versa. But they're on different days, but only in different markets. But Rochester, Syracuse is only an hour away from each other. So that tells you the differences between the days and the times.
And that's just a close 2 markets.
Yes.
Yeah. So the problem with that is that there's no haptic feedback. Or not haptic. Wow. No immediate feedback that says, okay, this segment's going over because more people are tuning in, or people are tuning out because they don't like the angle. And they're not getting that feedback back to the writers because Sinclair doesn't give a shit.
He's not wrong on the you don't know what's drawing part because they don't know. But at the same time, they've never known. For what? 16 years, they've never known. So why is it a big problem now when ratings don't matter?
Yeah, at this day and age, ratings don't matter. What matters are the subscriptions.
Right. Plus, at the same time, the owner of Sinclair is a syndicated broadcasting company. Or the owner of Ring of Honor is Sinclair Broadcasting, who owns TV stations, which I mentioned before, around the country. So
of course they're going to keep their product out there.
So of course they're going to put their product on TV.
And more importantly, they have a vested interest of them succeeding.
Yes.
Because it's their program.
Right. So it doesn't matter. Like, I get what he's saying, and it makes sense, but in the long run, it doesn't matter.
It's an outdated philosophy, is what I think it is.
It is. And I know we joke around how Supercard of Honor is still going on, but that was the biggest attended ROH show ever. They almost filled up that arena.
And that's not a small arena by any stretch of the
That's about an 10,000 seat arena. They put 6 in there. And that's Ring of Honor's big, which is for a Ring of Honor show. I know it was WrestleMania weekend. You get into the logistics of that, but that crowd was hot all night.
Yes, and they're also watching NXT, but that's beside the point.
Right. And, they're still hot because it's still going on. But I had to get that joke in. But you get my point. The uncool factor, I don't buy at all because look at the Young Bucks and Cody. The Young Bucks kind of made their name in New Japan. Kinda. They got big in New Japan, but I I saw them in ROH first. Well, actually, I saw them in TNA first. I didn't even know they were the Young Bucks. But I saw them, even though I wasn't watching New Japan, but I saw them in ROH first.
Right.
So, I mean, to me and to some fans, that's their first exposure was in Ring of Honor.
As the Young Bucks. As we know them now.
Yes, as the Young Bucks. So, is he saying that, these guys in Ring of Honor are going to WWE? Is that what he's trying to say? Adam Cole, Red Dragon just went. Roderick Strong's in NXT.
Here's what he said. On Ring of Honor losing Cool Factor and how All In success proves this theory. This is directly from Kevin Sullivan. I'll give you why. I think this is the definitive proof. Last Saturday, Ring of Honor was in Chicago with Cody and all the boys, right? They drew 1,600 people. On Sunday, All In drew 11,000 people in 29 minutes and 31 seconds. What's wrong with this picture? People look at Ring of Honor and think it's uncool.
That's a lie. You know what Ring of Honor normally averages? About 1,600 people. Maybe a little more. I mean, they didn't go to the same building, did they?
No.
Okay.
I'm sure they went to the Chicago Ridge.
They probably went to a smaller building, and it was probably sold out. Right? Probably.
Probably, yeah.
So, you're telling me that they sold out a building, and it's uncool.
Well, here's my problem with the situation. I see what he's trying to get at, is the fact that...
But 90% of the people who are on All In are in Ring of Honor.
And that's part of the reason why he's talking. That's his point. Is that they should be running...
Bigger shows? Bigger venues? They should be running
bigger venues, bigger shows, bigger everything.
So you're telling me that they booked a venue 3 months in advance before the tickets were even on sale, or the date was even announced for Chicago? They sold it out, and now that, oh my God, they're in a smaller venue than Chicago? Fuck him.
Exactly. It doesn't make sense.
Fuck him. It's not like they went, oh, we're just going to go to Chicago today.
Exactly.
And even if that, 1,600 fans on a day notice is pretty fucking impressive.
Yeah, considering that they're constantly doing that, and we know the cost of Ring of Honor. It's not like they're cheap tickets.
They're not expensive either.
They're not expensive, but they're not cheap. You're not getting $15 or $20 general admission tickets for Ring of Honor.
No, you're not. You know why? Because they're fucking 50. Ring of Honor, and they're on nationally syndicated programming. They should be selling tickets that high.
Right.
They deserve it. They've earned that right.
Exactly. So
they went to a small...
Go ahead. The second largest U.S.-based company.
Right. Because we know now Impact is in Canada. So... but it's true, though. But so if... What he's saying is that... So they went to another venue in Chicago. They didn't... And they only drew 1,600 people, which is probably a sellout, that these should be running bigger shows. They want to run bigger venues.
The fear is the logistics behind it. It's not the fact that they can't draw it. It's the fact that they're worried about the logistics of doing a 10,000-seat show in the middle of nowhere. I think Kevin thinks that All In is just going to be this one-off house show that, okay, some guys are coming in. It's not like that.
Every year now, I guarantee you, every year, that first weekend at the end of August or the beginning of September, there's going to be a fucking show. Now, guarantee you, it's going to be the Indie WrestleMania.
Indie Mania,
whatever you want to call it. But you know what I'm saying. That it's going to be. They already got conventions around it. Mm-hmm. They got StarCast, which we should be on, by the way. So fuck you, Conrad Thompson. Anyway. I'm gonna tell you that. I'm gonna tell you that Saturday when I see you. But anyway,
wow, put yourself over hard, man.
I'm the Hall of Famer. I got to. No, that's gonna be a running gig now. It's gonna happen. Beg on it.
The swerve is I get inducted into the Hall of Fame and not Fat Man.
It's not the swerve because you're not worthy.
Wow.
Of course, I do. So Kevin Sullivan's like, "Oh, Ring of Honor isn't cool." Dude, look at they made recently they haven't really had WWE depleted them of talent.
Yeah, they're in a rebuilding phase right now.
They're in a rebuilding phase, and they're in a rebuilding phase, and they just drew the biggest house they've ever had in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
I don't understand it. I really don't. But it's okay. Supercard of Honor is still going on, so.
Yeah. See, I make the joke, but you have to piggyback off it. That's why I'm the Hall of Famer and you're not.
So that's everything for tonight.
Silence.
Fucking dick. What a
silence.
Dickhole. What a dickhole.
More proof.
More proof of nothing. Okay, so before we call it a night, just want to get out there once again, shopgear.com, shopgere.com for all your Amazon shopping needs. Go through our affiliate link and get yourself some Amazon swag, and it helps us out as the wonderful professional podcasters that we are.
And a big thank you to Jonny Moose again for coming on.
Absolutely. Once again, Xcite Wrestling presents, well, Xcite Wrestling and Impact Wrestling present one night only, August 25th at Binghamton Legion, Post 8076 Main Street in Binghamton. You can get tickets on sale still. Front row is sold out. Second row is still available at xcitewrestling.com/shop. That's pretty much it for tonight, right? I don't think we have anything else.
That's it.
Fuck. Well, so for Sleazy,
for the Hall of Famer,
this is the Wrestling Show. Thank you guys so much for listening. Peace.
See you.
I'm a truth that you seem to run from. I'm an army of one. I'm a clip in your gun. I'm the pain of the game. The blood shedding your name. When there's nothing to gain, all the world gonna say.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the Gear Network.